Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone that is listening. I'm Jose Falero. I study at St. Petersburg College, and right now I'm going to present how anxiety and depression on adolescents it's presented by phone addiction. So right now I'm going to play first why this topic. I mean, why I chose this topic for my presentation and for my social science essay. First, I think that it's presented like in more of and more adolescents in recent years. Cell phone use has become like increasingly important in a technologically globalized world. And well, for me, it's no surprise that like adolescents are a large group of people um, whose use of these devices is becoming more common, and it has led for to an increase in number of adolescents or teenagers, however you want to call it, with anxiety and depression over time. So, anxiety and depression are related cause. So, why is this presented? There's actually solutions that can address these two topics, the anxiety and depression, because we know that there are psychological problems that are presented in a lot of people in the world. And well, in the third place, my personal motivation, uh, I I wrote this down because I had this problem. I used to have depression and anxiety because of my increased cell phone use as a teenager. Right now I'm 21 years old, but before I used to have this problem, but right now I'm not because of well, thanks to the solution that I'm gonna mention later. But this is why I want to like share my thoughts with other people that I mean this can be useful for everyone, not only like for an essay or a project for college, but also for everyone that is facing or has faced the same problem as me. And I really want to help, and I think I have like useful solutions to this and to address this topic and to solve it. So for a brief introduction, Uh, well, I think, as I mentioned before, like technology evolved in recent years, and also not only technology, as we know, but also this cell phones, and they are like present in every people's life, not only in teenager but also in adults. But as we know, are more mature people compared to teenagers, so this is where the problem is created. And the cell phone has gone from being a useful tool for only communicating with other people. Um, it was going for that, and now we have all of a lot of types of viral content. What you know what I mean? It's like we have also uh, it is also used for social media, for watching YouTube videos, for maybe right now TikTok. There is trending application that is there, and also for a lot of different reasons. So this change, I think, is coincided to the rising rates of mental health conditions, such as I mentioned before, anxiety and depression, that are the topics that I'm going to work right now. Primarily because of the perfect lives that every people can have in social media, not in real life. So uh, instead of engaging with other activities that can be helpful for their mental health, uh, they spend their time, and there's a lot of time that is spent on social media and cell phones. It can be shown in the cell phones usage, and there's a there's a part of the phone where you can check your screen time, and you can check your notifications and the amount of time you have spent in every social media. And this is very important because we have to consider that in order to know if we have this problem or not. So, I want you to see this picture. What is this picture about? There are three adolescents, maybe 15 years old, they are talking. And this is something that it's being lost by the years. Because right now, as the picture as I've shown you before, this picture we can see that adolescents are everyone in their phone. And this is not a weird picture because this is something that we can see almost in every school, in every college, or in almost in every hangout of the teenagers or the adolescents. That they are most of the time they are in their phone instead of talking or actually doing other activities that can engage their friendship or be more helpful for their natural for their mental health. I'm sorry. And compared to this picture, these adolescents are talking. And why I want to make a mention of this, because this is something that doesn't happen too often anymore. This is something that it's lost, as I mentioned, that it's lost by the years. And right now, the hangouts of adolescents could be something almost every time related to using of technological devices, such as, for example, playing PlayStation, just being with their cell phones, watching something, watching a movie, instead of the typical hangouts that used to happen before. And don't get me wrong, this doesn't necessarily mean that it is bad, but um, I just wanted to show you that how present the electronic devices actually are in our lives and in the lives of the adolescents or teenagers. It's more present than before, and this is something that it's related with the topic that I'm going to talk about. So, what has changed? I've put these two pictures in this slide in order to compare and in order that you can see what has changed in these two pictures by the years. And this was, as I mentioned in the introduction before, this was a rapid change. It was a very fast change because the difference in these two pictures, well, of course, it is taken in the recent years. But for example, the first picture we could see it more often in the early 2000s until 2010, which the phone device technology had like a revolution, we can call it, and it was way more present in starting in the 2010 until now. So, and the other picture, the first one, I just mentioned the second one, but the first one is was more commonly like before the 2000s or before this explosion or this boom, no, as usually people say, this boom of the technology arrived, and it was more common to see teenagers or adolescents talking, speaking, doing activities in the nature and those sorts of things. So, adolescents, an era of changes. First, before saying the information, I want to mention this first picture in here. Mention the emotional changes. This is the mind of adolescent or teenager. This is starting, well, in males and women is different, but in an average is from 11 years old to 15, 16 years, 17 years old. I don't, of course, want you to focus too much on the frontal cortex or the amygdala. No, there are more medical aspects, but I want you to focus more on the things that it's described over there. Like the frontal cortex undergoes and grows for when a child is 11 to 12 years of age, or the amygdala, that the studies indicate that teens use the amygdala rather than the more analytical frontal cortex. What does this mean? This means, of course, a change, a very increased change in adolescence, like compared to the adults or the infants. This is the stage of development that the most changes are presented. So this is what it said. Adolescence is the stage where the greatest number of changes occur in people, both physical, as we studied, psychological and hormonal, which is why they're exposed to environmental stimuli and anything that can alter these changes. So, after this, I want to mention the anxiety and the depression, closer than we think. Why? First of all, I want to mention the definition of anxiety, that is the response to dangers that may be real or perceived, usually being disproportionate and generate psychological problems. This part being usually being disproportionate is very important because it's not a normal thing or a normal psychiatric condition, but it's usually it usually responds to a stimuli in a very like a bigger way than usual. And the depression is it is characterized by low mood and loss of interest in activities that were previously enjoyed. And this is very important. And this is why I mentioned the depression over the phone usage, because with the phone usage it is directly related, because you start using more the phone, and you, as the same as depression, you start developing these symptoms, because people used to, especially adolescents, used to lose more interest in the activities they used to like before. For example, going out on a walk, or playing the sport they enjoy, or just reading the books. For example, that is the I think that's the aspect that is more forget about, is reading books. That it has changed, and is strictly the most of the time adolescents has changed reading books for using the cell phone, or reading books but in the cell phone, so they're still attached to the screen. Then, how is it related to the cell phone? I was explaining this right before. All type of digital content is social media risks. I mentioned especially social media because, as I mentioned in the brief introduction, the social media is where adolescents and teenagers, most of the time, usually women teenagers instead of men teenagers, tend to compare their lives. But it also happens in both of the cases. Don't get me wrong. It used to happen that they compare their lives. They start, and it's unconscious. You cannot think about this, and you're not conscious that you are comparing actually your life. But you start seeing other people's lives, and they seem to be perfect. So they seem to be perfect, and this is why you start comparing to them, and you start feeling more depressed that your life may be not enough, or your life isn't as perfect as it should be. Then, cell phone usage has coincided with rising rates of mental health conditions such as anxiety and depression, especially among adolescents, primarily due to the increased exposure to social media these days. And I just mentioned the cause, that was the comparing your lives. So, right now I'm going to focus on the solutions that I think they are the best uh, in order to solve this problem, this problem that is the anxiety and depression because of the cell phone use. First of all, creating schedules. So, I'm sorry. So, creating a schedule for me is the second best solution. The first one is going to be the next one that I'm going to mention after, sorry. So, it's creating schedules. As you can see in the first picture, powerful benefits of daily scheduling. Productivity in the first place. Second, work-life balance and less stress. So, what is creating a schedule more important? I want you to see this picture over here. Do you see the difference, as it said? On the left side, we can see a person that, it's obvious that it's not organized. And in the second picture, we can see a person that is well organized. It has everything, and it isn't stressed about the situation. This is why creating a schedule is very important, because especially with people that had anxiety and depression, you can avoid this by having a step-by-step things about the things you want to do and you have to do. So creating schedules and routines also help the people, and especially adolescents, take control on the days and also their lives. And this create a state of calm and anxiety relief, obviously. Second solution, practice sport. For me, this is the most important solution. As in the first place, mentioned that sports include almost all the factors that relieve anxiety and relax people, which are physical activity, mental concentration, and socializing with other people. This is what is shown in here. Benefit of sport. It's a great hobby. It can improve sleep habits. Most of it, sport can be fix your mood and also improve social skills. This is very important for teenagers in order to stop like replacing the using of the cell phone and get into a sport. For example, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, you can have, for mentioning an example, soccer training session, and on Sunday you have a championship. This will give teenagers discipline, which will, for me, help relieve the anxiety depression caused by excessive cell phone use, because this causes the opposite effect in adolescence. Practicing sports makes the opposite effect. Also, practicing sports relieve the symptoms mentioned, and they will once again have fun and enjoy the group of activities that take place during training. This is why it replaces the other problem that was the adolescents weren't enjoying the things anymore that way they used to enjoy. And finally, my final thoughts. For me, the awareness of this situation that is affecting a larger number of adolescents is needed in population, because they need to know that this huge group of people they're having more and more anxiety and depression problems because the uses of the phone is getting more present nowadays. And second one, the parents of adolescents are the for me the people that can best manage this problem, and they can investigate on their own the positive effects that, for example, practicing soccer, that is a sport, can have by registering their adolescents in a local team. And for the schedule solution, a useful tool that is free and accessible is Canva. So they can start mixing these two things, mix creating a schedule and mix practicing a sport, and make your sport inside your schedule, and also all the tasks the adolescent has to do included in the schedule. So this will relieve the anxiety and depression symptoms in the adolescent. So this was all, and thank you for your time.